Hello, hello.
Hey,
Yo, what's up, Flame?
yo, I'm alright. How about you?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, bro. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, alright. It's fun.
Yeah. Let me just bring up the notes. I have some of my own, but we'll start with yours. And if we're done with yours, we can keep on moving the other list. So you wanted to talk
Yeah,
about, let's see, you wanted to talk about team games, right?
yeah, exactly. And damn, you have a lot of viewers.
What'd you say?
You have a lot of viewers.
Oh yeah. More will come when they realize the podcast is live.
I see. That's
Mm-hmm.
clean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So first point is team games. What do you want to discuss regarding team games? I know the situation right now, and I find it very sad to see this current state of it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to say something controversial, but
Go
at
ahead.
this point, um, I think they should remove. First of all, they should have removed quick match. Like that shouldn't be a thing. Like in to begin with, it should just be all ranked. And second of all, I think they should just remove ranked team games at this point because it takes forever to find a good game if you're a good player. And for a lot of new players, they have to fight against better players a lot of the time. And it's just not very fun. I think we got to go back to, the Fubli style, EE style, ESO style, where you just host a game like 17 plus, 18 plus, I guess in Retold's case, like 13 plus, 1200 plus, right? And
Mm-hmm.
people join the lobby that's, according to their level. We could also, add like a little checkbox where you can make a lobby into a ranked lobby, right? And yeah, of course, you're going to get people that are going to point trade. But at
Mm-hmm.
this point, I feel like TG is just completely dead unless your elo is like 1200. And, even at that point, half of the time you're playing against like a random 1700 team, and it's just not very fun.
Yeah, I completely agree. But wouldn't like removing the ranked team game queue, wouldn't that also remove the ease of access for team games, making it even more difficult to play?
Well, it has to be accompanied by like changes to the lobby system. Like right now, I see your screen right on the stream.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go back to like the main menu, right, like the first thing you see, it
Yeah.
takes at least 3 or 4 clicks to even get to the lobby. And for most people, that's
Yeah.
already kind of difficult. For a new player, that's too hard to find.
And then on
So
top of that, once you're here, look at the list. I mean, there's like tons of games. Becomes a hassle,
yeah,
no?
and it's like half of these games are games you can observe. So it's not even clear which game you can join or which game is full. It's
Yeah.
not ordered very well, like like the old game. Like it needs to be more simple, like easy on the eye, like, oh shit, this is like a team game I can join. And also when you're hosting a game, it like right now it defaults to like Keen Flames lobby, or like Noel Ross lobby.
Yeah.
So it just automatically puts a name, which makes people very lazy. So, for example, just check how many games right now there are, like Spiel von Ritterlad or like a game of Shopbox, right? Like all these names are just like random as names, so no one knows what the game actually is.
Yeah.
So people should be forced to put their own name and like call out what they want to play. And the observable game should be in its own tab. There should be two big tabs at the top of the lobby list, like one for join game, one for observe.
Yeah.
And on the observe tab, it should be 1v1 on the top. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, below that, the team game. So it's like sorted very easily and very, logically.
Yeah.
And I think if they do that, it will fix the game a lot in terms of TG. And honestly, I just think people are burnt out from 1v1. Like it's very frustrating, if the only thing you can really play is 1v1, the imbalance of the game gets like frustrating really, really fast. And
Yeah.
on Vubi on EE, people could like switch between the two. So if you're bored of 1v1, you go play some team games. If you're bored of team games, you play some scenarios. So there was
Exactly.
more like variety, right?
Yeah. I feel like like I do believe there should be ranked team game queue, but the primary problem is that you don't have enough like high level players, right? They are struggling to get a good game and ranked teams queue, and I believe that might be because there is no real reward, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's also another thing, right? I mean, maybe with the China's DLC, when there's more people playing again, they need to combine that with introducing, first of all, seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, there needs to be ranked rewards. For example, with AoE4, they have like these statues you can win for your TC, right?
Yeah.
So we should have more like customized major god statues for your TC. We should have like profile icon rewards, like like in League of Legends, you have like gold, platinum, diamond, like these
Yeah,
nice little icons,
borders.
right? And
Yeah.
like borders, banners, everything.
Yeah.
There should just be way more rewards, like end of the season rewards, right? Like if you place above like gold, you get rewards. If you place below that, you don't get shit. Like I think that's
Very
for the
true.
best. So it
Yeah.
motivates people to like get better at the game.
Exactly.
Um, yeah.
For that, regarding that, like, how come the devs never started? I wonder. I asked myself, why did they not implement seasons from the get-go when they knew seasons helped the previous, installment of Age of Empires 4, right? Immediately when that came, seasons came, it became more populated. The way I see it right now, even 1v1 queue is like very dead. Like you often have to wait 5 to 6 to 7 minutes once you're above a certain elo range, right? And even people at the 1K range, I've heard they also have to wait 4 or 5 minutes per game. I feel like people don't really have the incentive to play it, like you said, for because no rewards. Do you feel like the
But
devs intentionally like did it, didn't care about it enough to actually think about it or
yeah,
consider
well,
it?
I have 2 points, right? Like one point real quick. I think the queue, like this, the search system is just bugged from like since the beta, since
Oh yeah.
release. It's just bugged. Like
Oh yeah.
it's always taken 1 minute, even at release when 25K people were playing at the same time. Even if like 50, 100 people were all searching at the same time at the same elo, like I've literally tried it out, to like snipe John, for example, with my buddies, right? We would all
Yeah.
queue at the same time. We would not find each other until at least 1 minute after, after 1 minute of time has passed, right? It's like very artificial. It's like it's searching in your region first, like it's searching in your neighborhood, house by house. If
Yeah.
it doesn't find a game, after finding someone in your neighborhood, then it expands to your town, then your city, then your province, then your continent, and then finally you match against John Arbiter. Like it's just completely bugged, and I think it's still bugged because even on EE, if there was actually someone searching, you would find a match within 2 seconds. Like it would just immediately match you against that player. But now they match based on all kinds of criteria, your gender, your pronouns, everything. It just takes too long. Like
Yeah.
it's a big problem. And the
Uh,
second point is, what was your question again about
like
the rewards?
the ranked role, like did they neglect any form of like the ladder competitiveness aspect of
Ah,
this game?
right. There's a big reason for that. The suits, not forgetting empires, but the suits. They
Mm-hmm.
had some statistic or whatever where they said that 2% of the retold population does not play ranked or multiplayer, or only 2% plays it.
Oh
So
wow.
they didn't want to invest more into like the multiplayer systems and everything. They thought it was not a good like investment return on their investment.
Yeah.
But I think it's completely false because if you look at aomstats.io or whatever,
Yeah.
you can literally see that there's like almost 4K daily players playing ranked every day, and it's been kind of steady since release. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a dedicated player base for multiplayer, and I mean, you can see right now, right? There's like 4K players online, excluding the Game Pass players. So I'm sure, that statistic of 2% is just, something they pulled out of their ass pretty much. So it's just the suits, just fucking shit up basically.
Yeah.
Like they could have, added more shit. Like the in-game leaderboards should have been there at release. They were
But
very, very stubborn and they eventually did add it in, right? But it was, a little bit too late.
But the fact that even like a person, Yerbot, who made AOM Stats IO, has done 10 times the work any of the game has done. Like, I don't even use the in-game stuff. I will never use the in-game stuff. I will always go to that site. And that's just one person doing all of that. Can you imagine?
Hmm.
He doesn't even get paid for it, mind you. So how can you like do you think the devs are incompetent? Do they not care enough? Like, what's going on there?
I mean, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to get too offensive, but if you saw the behind the scenes trailer on AOE 4, there's a lot
Yeah.
of pink haired developers. So I'll
Yeah.
leave it at that though. But
Oh,
I mean,
shit.
even with the in-game leaderboard, right? Like if they did it like League of Legends, where you see a little eye next to someone's name when they're in game, and you can just right-click that player's name on the leaderboard. Like a new player, he'll like start spectating a player that's in the top 20, and they'll learn a lot of stuff. So, or even on the main menu, you have like these cards, right? Like multiplayer campaign. If they have like a card that like rotates between high-level games that are being played right now at
Yeah.
this moment, and you can just easily observe. Like that would be amazing for the
Yeah.
game.
Like what's it called? It's like a news thing. Like that rolls new games every 5 minutes. It
Yeah, exactly.
updates with what current games are the highest levels, right? And then you can just
Yeah.
click there and spectate them. True. I think that would be like there are so many good things they could do with the UI. I feel like the UI is kind of like depressing to be honest.
It's been so bad in every Age of Empires game, AoE 1, AoE 2, 3, 4. Like it really pisses me off, as a like, my job is digital marketing and shit, but a lot of it is also design and like UI and shit. And like it pisses me off so much how badly the UI is designed. I really think they should fire the whole AoE UI team. I think it's just so bad. Like the editor is like hidden away on like a little phone menu bar at the top right, right? Like
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
I agree. It's not the best. I feel like ESO was way better. And even Legacy, like just watching old videos and seeing how clean their interfaces were, it was just so much nicer to engage in, right?
Dude, they gotta bring ESO back, man. Like ESO, it was like so ahead of its time. It's still better than I mean, even EE interface honestly was better than a Retold interface. Like the ESO interface was so good. Like it had like friend list, it had match history, it had the leaderboard in game, like a very clear leaderboard. It had all the global chats, but nowadays, according
Yeah.
to some laws in Europe, they cannot do the global chats anymore, right? Because they have
Huh.
to moderate it. But it's just so annoying, like because you lose the sense of like community when you don't have
Exa-
like the leader or the chat rooms, right? But
yeah.
even the chat rooms right now in the lobby, it's like you have to click on the
Oh
little
yeah.
send a message window, and then it expands the chat
Yeah.
window. So
And it's
even like
even then it's
noobs,
bad.
yeah, it's just like noobs don't even see what you're writing because it's like hidden away in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And also, all the chat windows in the game itself, like in the UI, not in game, but in the UI, they're so small and like tiny on the very bottom. Like the chat rooms on ESO, they were like they took up the whole screen, and
Mm-hmm.
you had like a list of people that were in the chat, with their main god, their elo, everything. It was basically like Discord on ESO back then, like almost the same layout that we have on Discord nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to see that they have like
Downgraded.
gotten worse. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we're ever gonna see change. I even saw Magic's video. He did comment. He did pretty much say the same things you're saying, and I do completely agree. It just feels barren. Like it just feels like a wasteland when you're in like the lobby.
Yep.
Doesn't. Yeah, I think there's a lot to improve there, and even then, like you feel as like if you just chat with people in the lobby, random people, it can always turn into making friends, introducing to them to new things and stronger sense of community, right? But now it's like every person is for themselves or their little group.
Yep. You got to do everything through Discords, but
Hmm.
every clan or every team or every little community has their own Discord, and it's just hard to find people to play with.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's
Well,
very
like on
unfortunate.
EE, right? Like you and me, we used to play against each other on EE, you know,
Yeah,
in like team games with Kido and Rahak, my buddies, Mr. Boat and everyone,
yeah.
and it was like rivalries and it was fun
It
because
was
like
really
every
fun.
day, yeah, like you join, the same lobbies, you want to beat the other guys, because you don't like them too much, but it's just fun, like it creates rivalries and everything.
Yeah, and that's what
And
makes the
now,
game fun. That's what makes you want to get better, engage more, fun stuff come out
yeah,
of it. But right now it feels like, right, it's whatever.
like we lost so many, legends of EE, like Fabian AK,
Oh,
What
true.
was the other guy called?
Estem?
Yeah, Estem. It was a couple of guys. Like
Estem still
they're always
plays
there.
EE. Yeah, Estem still plays EE.
It's crazy.
uh, yeah, I mean, team games, please. Like, oh yeah. Speaking of team games, you after this tournament, you were planning on starting some team game type of stuff, no?
Yeah, yeah. My boss and I were starting a new business. With about vapes, but uh, you know. Anyway, we're gonna host, or I'm gonna host, a couple tournaments, every 2 weeks. It's gonna be just 1 day tournaments,
Okay,
probably on Fridays or Saturdays, and like $50, $100, gonna be sponsored by that.
that's
Um, and it's gonna be all team games pretty much. It's gonna be like 2v2 tournaments, 3 versus 3 tournaments, uh, like on weird maps, on fun maps, on normal maps, maybe even tiny or whatever. I just want like to bring back the team game scene, or at least try, because I
I
think
mean,
it's the most fun.
it also and like people aren't too into team games because if you think about it, there's almost no team games being shown anywhere, right? They don't know like how fun team games can really be until you see it on the big screen. Like you've only seen 1v1 tournaments, and sure that might motivate newer players to get better at 1v1s, but they never actually give team games a chance. When I find team games to be the most fun.
Yep. And I think it also was a big problem that like all the tournaments that were hosted on Retold's release, fine, Red Bull, that's the first tournament,
Yeah.
of course, it should be 1v1. The second tournament, sure, let's do a follow-up. But the third one, come on, let's host a team game tournament like RTSL, let's bring it back, let's let people make clans and teams,
Yeah,
so it creates all these little communities. It's
exactly.
just more fun, and like
I
that would have
also
boosted the scene so much.
Yeah, I also don't like how all the tournaments have been so drawn out, right? It's been weeks. And it kind
Yep.
of makes it so that you can't really, as a, like, different, like, outside of that, like, they are taking all the action, right? I can't host a team game show match on a Saturday or whatever, because that's when they're running too, right? Because you want the attraction, you want the people to come together and watch something all at once. But when there's something going on for weeks at a time, which is a high prize tournament, you kind of feel like you don't want to miss out on that. So it's better to do it afterwards. But when all the tournaments are pretty much back to back to back to back, it gets really hard to host something. What
And
do you think
also
about that?
yeah, I agree. And I think the problem also with this, or at least the last tournament, is I mean, it's been fun to watch, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? Like it's
Yeah.
still a lot of fun to watch. Um, but yes, it's drawn out, but also I think, the 64 player limit, I think, it was not, the best idea, because I know a lot of people, that were excited by it for it, but then, got turned off that they probably couldn't play.
Mhm.
I think it should just be open to everyone. And I think that's also, just the main problem with these S tier tournaments. Like they should be hosted, but there's just nothing for the like the mid tier players or the lower tier players. Like just all these tournaments, you don't have much of a chance against the Mista or all these other players. It's just not fun. It's like nothing to do for the mid tier players. Just like the
Yeah.
casual, like 1400s, 1300s, 1200s. It's just nothing to do really. So they just quit. They just leave, and they'll watch the streams every now and then. But you want them to play the game, not only watch the game.
Yeah.
So like, let me back up for a second, right? Like imagine, the money they put in Red Bull, right, for the AOM side of things.
Mhm.
So I think the prize pool was 15K or 20K, whatever it was, the total. but the
Hmm.
production cost of everything, it was probably like 200-300K. Imagine they spread that 300K out over 2 years. You could have like a tournament of like 4K every weekend for everyone, like
Exactly.
a team game tournament, whatever. Like,
Rotating.
yeah, like you could have a weekly every fucking week. You could have a tournament every week with that much money invested. But instead, they put all that money into like 2 weekends. It doesn't make any sense. Like it's such a huge investment, while they could have grown the community organically with these smaller tournaments weekly for like 10 years straight with that much money. It's just crazy to me they would spend that much money for like a LAN when you can like support the community for that long.
That is
Just too
very
much
true.
money.
And it's like, if you think about it, like most of the people don't really play this game for the money, right? They play it because they enjoy the game and they have fun with it. So if you spread the money, like, and rotate it between, team games, 1v1s, lower elo, mid elo, high elo, same thing for team games, and just like, so make a variety of it. Like you said, the money would last way longer and it would just be better in the long run rather than throwing all your like eggs in one basket and hoping I don't know what the purpose of this really was.
It
Still
was
feels
just
like,
it's just a big marketing stunt, but not a very good one, honestly. I mean, I guess it did create a lot of hype, but if you have a weekly ever tournament every week, like I know StarCraft 2 guys that came to play AOM, and they were really missing the weeklies. Like there was just nothing for them to do. Like for a mid-tier player, to get better at the game, all the options they had was join a S-tier tournament and get the shit beaten in by other players that have been playing this game for 10 years. It's just
yeah,
not fun. Like there should be weekly tournaments they can play, they can practice to get better at, and every week they're like, oh shit, hey, you should try this game out. It's like a tournament every week. It's really fun. Like that's how you grow a community over time. But
exactly.
they didn't do it. So
Feels like they went too aggressive with it, and now, like, I feel like as time goes on, it's gonna be less and less because their return on investment, I guess, didn't pan out the way they wanted to. I assume. I feel like that's how it's gonna end up being because the player count has dropped significantly, and it's really hard to find games. Like my main issue is, for people who are at the top level, like team games and 1v1s, they basically have next to no variety in who they play. And that can be because mid-level players don't really have as much motivation to improve or get better as some other people do. And I feel like opening up mid-elo tournaments and like slightly above them would give people a chance to strive to improve. Does that make sense?
yep, I agree.
There's so much things you could do. Like back in the day on Legacy, we hosted, low elo tournaments. It was so much fun. Like we would put one coach, like let's say we have Mista coaching John, we have Magic coaching Bam, and then someone else coaching someone. Like we paired people up together and we split the prize pool between the winners, like the coach and the player. That was like
hmm
very good for the viewership, very good for the lower level players, and fun for the high level players because everyone got something out of it.
Yeah.
Stuff I feel like
And
stuff like that should be. We should try to
yeah, I
do
mean,
stuff like that.
I also really like, John's Arbiters, like free for all tournaments, at release. We
Mm.
hosted a couple, he was hosting a lot of free for all games. Like those games were a lot of fun, but it was just plagued by like crashes and like all kinds of bugs, spectate bugs and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
And some guys in the chat there saying, like what's the difference, like the lower level mid tier players, they still cannot compete even in those weekly tournaments. But you guys are forgetting, like I'm talking mostly about like team game stuff. Like it should be mostly team games. Honestly, I think that's the most fun because first of all, you don't have to play alone. You can grab a buddy and you can play team games together. Think of some cheese strategies, whatever.
yeah.
Um, and you can still take a couple games off some better players, and it attracts also more mid-tier players in general. Like the 1v1 tournaments
Casuals.
attract mostly elite players. Team game tournaments attract more mid-tier players. So there's more players to play against, more players to beat of your level. So it's just more fun. It's always just more fun to play a team game. Like League of Legends, like it's built around a team game, right? It's a
Yeah.
5 versus 5. It removes a lot of, like some people even have ranked anxiety, right? But when you play with a buddy, they don't have it anymore. So it just opens up way more players into like events.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great point. I do hope we somehow see after this next tournament, the Wrath of the Gods. I hope we see something else from them instead of another S tier 1v1 tournament. I really hope so. I mean, I'm going to try to post something for the community. I know you said you were going to try to get some team games going. Maybe we have to do it as a community rather than wait for, World's Edge. Or was it World's
Yeah,
Edge?
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, World Edge, but we definitely should do it as a community. It's easy to pull together. A couple
Yeah.
$100. It's like, and we don't need much more than that, honestly.
Don't like I honestly think like $50, get 3 players from two clans, put them in a show match, best of 5. Everyone's gonna have a blast for $50. Who? Because at the end of the day, it's about fun, right?
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
think they would say no.
I think someone really soon should host like a show match, like a 2v2 or 3 versus 3 show match. Like I
Yeah.
hosted one in the first beta, and it was a lot of fun. There were some issues with the players, whatever, but it was fun to watch. And I have bad news, by the way. The next couple of S tier tournaments, they are 1v1. I know for a fact.
I just
Like your
read what
Desla's,
Voice said. He said next tournament is
yeah.
EGC TV. And then the one after that is your Tesla. So I guess it is up to us to make something different.
I talked to your Desla before release, and he wanted to host a S tier tournament for a long time, and I know for a fact he's gonna make it 1v1. Maybe
But will
we
it
can
be
change his mind,
will
but
it be an extended tournament? Because I don't really mind S tier tournaments if they're 1 or 2 days, but when they're drawn out, it removes like
it's very
opportunities
long.
for it removes other, and also another thing is burnout happen when the tournaments are drawn out as well. Some people quit or take an extended break.
Yeah, for example, we don't even know if Rito is gonna play in the main event for this Meta Plays tournament.
Yeah.
Which kind of sad, because he's easily a top 6, 5, maybe even top 3. When he reaches his potential. So
Yeah.
you're missing out on players like that when the tournament is too long. And I looked at the dates on the Age of Empires side for these retool tournaments, and most of them are like a month or longer. So they are pretty drawn out. I don't think it's an issue if it's a team game tournament that's
Yeah.
drawn out, because I think it's very fun with like a
Yeah.
group stage, then the
You get to
playoffs. It's really
discuss.
fun.
Yeah, you get to. So with a team game tournament, the difference is like you sit there as a team, you watch the games, you see, oh, that team likes to do this, and you formulate a plan, and it just makes it more interactive, right? Like you get to
I
cook
always
strategies.
exactly. I always find it fun with RTSL. Like there's so many different clans. Like even when we host RTSL on Voobly, we always got like,
Mhm.
at least 14, 16, 18 clans sometimes to sign up, and they all fill the rosters of like 4, 5, 10 players, right?
Yeah.
And each clan, they didn't have the best players, but each clan, had its like star player basically, right? Like it was like a little NBA, that we had going on. Like each, squad had their own star, like their own carry, right? Like this
Yeah.
team had like
Each.
Green Sea Squash. This team had like Mr. Boat or whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
each team had their own like star
Little.
player
Yeah.
that people
Michael
want to
Jordan.
watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just more fun like when it's like a team. You have like a like a really good player that just like carries the shit out of everyone. It's just fun to watch. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've
Uh,
been a part of one team game show match, and it was probably the most fun I had. And it was just a show match. Now imagine a tournament, how
exactly.
much more you can do with a
Yeah.
tournament. It's
Yeah.
like a 2-day tournament, best of threes, and the finals are best of 5. It's just 1 or 2 days. Simple.
And then also here comes in, for the mid-tier players, that these tournaments, they had like home maps, right? So each clan, had their own home map, where, if you prep like a home map, you can almost beat any team if, have a really good strategy ready.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes it more fun. And yeah, this guy in the chat, TGF, says, like, imagine, Keen, you have Tag, you have Aces, you have DOD, you have, the old boys with Boyd, Chrono JJ, and
A lot of
I mean, I
like
guess, yeah.
variety and skill level difference too.
Mhm.
It could be
Yeah.
really fun. But I guess since like the plan is already laid out, I guess we have to come together as a community and pull something off. Maybe so this is the last week, the next week is probably the last before the EGC TV, so there is a timing there where we could potentially do something.
hmm And my own plan personally was, I was going to host the bi-weekly tournaments, right?
Yeah.
Like TG, like 1 day tournament, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of fun, more fun stuff. But, that is like kind of like a test run for me personally to see, how it goes, how to organize it, how to make sure everything runs smoothly. And, if that goes well, and, the interest is, pretty decent.
Yeah.
If no one else hosts a RTSL type of tournament by then, I will host it myself with whoever is down to host it as well. They can, join me and I'll host it.
Mm-hmm.
But I will do some test runs first. But yeah, I mean, I'm just happy if anyone hosts it at this point.
Yeah, at this point,
Probably
just give me some
January is
team
the
games.
yeah, like we need the fucking team games, man. It's just so much fun. It's the most fun out of any Age of Empires game, out of any RTS game. AOM team games are the most fun. It was literally the most popular like game format on Voobly and on EE. Like everyone loves it.
And it was
Like
super
I guess
competitive
not
too.
everyone, but
Most of
yeah,
the
it was
people,
very
yeah,
competitive.
very competitive. Everyone wanted to, like, no one wanted to lose. And it made for some very fun, like, banter, teasing, and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like you want your squad to win, right? Like
Yeah.
Rahak, Mr. Bode, and the twins, like against like the WKT guys, against you guys, right? Like with
Yeah.
Ulu, right? And against you got DOD, JSS, you had all these rivalries. Like it was just fun, like to beat the other squad. Like it's
Very
just
fun. Yeah, very satisfying, very fun. And I want to bring that back. And we should try to do something
yeah,
as soon as this is over. Even if it's a show match to basically get it going. We have to start somewhere, right? A simple 1 day show match between two teams could be huge still to introduce it.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, Uros makes a good point, and yeah, you had Gaia as well, of course, on EE, and yeah, he makes a good point that I think they need to fix a couple of bugs, like the spectator
Yeah.
bug it's like crazy. I can just see the sadness in Boyd's eyes when it happens time and time again in these tournaments. I can see the sadness in Maiden's eyes, in Yodesla's eyes, in Nakamura's eyes. I can just see it, man.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
so sad when the game freezes. It's crazy to me. It still hasn't been fixed yet. Like it should be hot fixed, but I'm guessing they probably don't know what causes it, so they don't know how to fix it. Like they're probably looking for a solution. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of that, now that we're moving on from team games and ESO interface and stuff, the next thing I had in the topic of discussion was current game state being stale, not having a roadmap besides, immortal pillars. What do you think about that? Like, I feel like having patches regularly is better than having them every 2 months when the game isn't fixed. Do you know what I mean? It shows
hmm
players that the devs are still around, they're still working on it, they're still trying to fix it. But it's been over a month now since the last patch. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the holidays event, was into the right direction. I
Mm,
like the
for
rewards
sure,
they did,
for
the
sure.
extra icons. But AoE 2, they had all the unlockable icons right at release. Like if you play like 10 games with this Sif, you would unlock an icon. If you play 200 games with this Sif, you would unlock this. There was all these little different parameters where if you do this, you get this icon. So there was something extra to play for, and I feel like we're missing content updates in Retold. Like Arena of the Gods was, at first it was, a big joke. It was way too easy. I think they kind of fixed it now, from what I can tell. Like it's
Mhm.
a bit harder now. I haven't tried it myself yet, but I think it just needs to be more content, like more fixes, more shit to do. And I don't think they're, fast enough. But also, I think they kind of gave up on, the current Retold, and they're, putting all their eggs into the basket of Chinese right now. They're
Yeah.
probably trying to like to work on and deliver like a really big update when the Chinese come out. Like everything is like overhauled, and like the lobby system might be better. Like there will maybe be season rewards. And I think Chinese was supposed to be in at release, but they delayed it, and then they delayed it again, which I think is a good thing, by the way, because you don't want to
Yeah.
have another Chinese situation like on the EE.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah, I think we just have to be patient at this point. I don't think there's going to be big patches, to fix the game up right now. I
What
think
about
we have
balance
to.
patches? Because the game kind of becomes dull after, a couple of
Yeah,
weeks of playing the same. Because people can tell very quickly what's very oppressive, right?
yeah. I
And
mean, dude, it just pisses me off. Like I call out so much shit in the first betas, and like it's all shit that like ended up being broken. Like I called out the widgets, I called out the Sarissa hoplites, like the extra range. Like I remember Sarissa hoplites running down my Arcus in the beta. That's how powerful they were. And like the 25% bonus damage for Loki is the most like the
busted.
dumbest
Yeah.
fucking passive I've ever heard. Like, why is this still in the game? It just makes no sense. Like, if you have 22 on X-Men and the Odin player is 22 on X-Men, you just auto win, like regardless,
And the fact that
of
flaming
yeah.
weapons multiplies it too.
Yeah, it's just like a couple of things that are just really stupid. I don't know why it's still in the game. Like the Centaur Hippocon shit, it lasted way too long at release. A lot of my friends just quit the game because it was not fun to have Hypolita or whatever, or the other, or Atalanta,
Atlanta?
right?
Yeah.
She was just running around your base, super tanky, super fast. She was running down everyone pretty much.
Yeah.
And then the Centaurs were at your gold mine like at from the get go, right? And then Thor was OP with the extra dwarfs. Like that whole armory dwarf shit makes absolutely no sense. Like you just start the game early on with more villagers, and the more villagers you have early on in the game, the more broken and the harder it will skill, right? And
Yeah.
then Gaia was fucking completely busted with the whole Contraria shit. It's just like balance issue after balance issue after balance issue, and it's just not fun for people to play because there's actually like a really fun, like the game is really fun underneath all the issues, right?
Yeah. For sure.
But it's like so obvious, but they were so stubborn. Like they did, it took way too long to fix it, and it was like it was obvious since the beta that Toxote were like way too strong, but it took them way too long, and now they changed so much shit that they might have over nerfed some shit at this point. And now they over buffed Raw, and like it's just I feel like they just don't have a clue what they're doing, or like it's like one guy, like calling all the shots in the end. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
but don't you think since they are lacking like knowledge, why not ask? Why don't they have like a team of advisors giving them, oh, this is slightly too strong. It needs a fix ASAP. This is completely broken. This should not be in the game. It is completely ruining every single game when it's there,
mhm.
right? Shouldn't they have a team of advisors? Like, I'm pretty sure they don't even need to pay them. They would do it for free, right? Because they want the game to get better.
Mhm. I mean, I have a lot to say about all of this, but I don't want to, uh, start flaming people. So I won't do it. But um, um,
Yeah.
for example, at release, right? Like the whole meteor shit, like the fast mythic, like the
Oh yeah.
ancestral eclipse, right? Like a lot of those, metas, they were like very toxic. Like it's not good game design. Like the A&E dropping at your base at 6 minutes, and
Yeah.
it's just like very toxic game design. Like shit like that just shouldn't be in the game. Like Atalanta at such a high speed, so tanky, should have never been in the game. Like it's just very dumb, like game design. Like it should just not be in the game. It's just there's some very obvious stuff which needs fixing, And I mean, I hope they eventually fix it. And, like the current state of the meta, um, it
Yeah.
just seems to me that every game is a semi-fast heroic. Like you make, a little bit of army, just to tickle your enemy. Just make sure he doesn't take a TC for free, that, he doesn't get the hunt for free. But after that, you just go heroic straight away because the heroic power specs are too strong. And it's always like a variation of semi-fast heroic. It's either 2 TC fast heroic or 1 TC fast heroic, but every game is a fast heroic. Like if you've watched the Mista since a Red Bull, every game as Zeus, for example, he does 2 TC, semi-fast heroic into Manticores, into Peltist and Hoplites. Like
Yeah.
it's the same shit every game. Every game he opens up with 2 heroes and a centaur. He walks around a little bit, does his damage, takes a TC, then makes a little bit of army, goes heroic, and it's just so obvious. Like every game is like kind of like the same. Like, and it's also because myth units, they scale with each age. And that's why watches are an issue, right? Because if you get heroic, the watches become stronger. So
That is the thing, right? Do you think that was a good addition to the game where the myth unit's age was scale with age ups? Because I feel like a classical myth unit should not be better than a mythical myth age myth unit, and way cheaper too.
I mean, honestly, I don't blame anyone for this change. Like whoever made that change, like it sounded good on paper, right? Like that makes you a skill with age, so they're always usable.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be not a good decision, I think, because it just kind of skips the whole classical phase of the game, where in on the original game, you could Heimdall rush, you could actually kill someone in classical age, but in Retold, unless the player is much worse than you, you can't really do it. Like it's just too good
Temple,
to
yeah.
give up, like the power spike of the god powers, and
Oh
just the
yeah.
hero power spike in general.
Oh yeah, for
um
sure.
yeah
My current biggest problem is ballistics. How do you feel about that? Have you seen ballistics? Like, how do you feel
yeah, I
about it?
mean,
I feel like
it's
it's
been an
game
issue.
breaking.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they would revert it to how it was in the original. I don't think there was anything wrong with how it was in the original.
Yeah, well,
And
perfect.
it was really stupid on Hades at the beginning at release. Like it was just, you could literally only make Toxite,
Hmm.
and you would kill horses, you would kill everything, you would kill buildings.
But it's still
Like
the
it doesn't
same
matter.
case, pretty much.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, if you get to that stage, you can you can still kind of do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's right now. You know how and Bombo existed in Legacy as well, right? But because ballistics didn't exist, it was actually bad to get Bombo. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And now we have 23 range chariots with Bombo being untouchable. And I feel like that is the peak of toxic gameplay, where you
Yeah.
cannot do
It is
anything
very
against it.
it's very toxic, and Uh, Urus is right. Heimdall is a boom god now. Like people don't
Yeah.
realize this yet. Like I've been telling people, I've coached like 40 people by now, and like I've been telling all my students, like if you play Norse, just go Heimdall every game in team games at least. In 1v1, most of the time you could also do it. But Ring Still upgrade is so good, like 20% increased or decreased training time on villagers, on age ups, on all the upgrades, on all
All
the
the
unit production.
research,
So
yeah.
everything is 20% faster.
Isn't it
So
25?
maybe 25, yeah. There's an upgrade like this in AoE 2 as well, but it's 5%. It's not 25%. Like it's just insane that this upgrade is still in the game. So even if we get to team game tournaments, like everyone is going to be playing Norse, everyone is going to be like booming Heimdall. Like it's so broken. You
Yeah.
can have 100 villagers. You can be maxed out on villagers by 30 minutes if you 3TC boom, which is not too uncommon in team games, right?
Even in village centers are viable there, throwing them down.
Exactly. It's that upgrade should not be in the game, and Loki's 25% bonus should also not be in the game. It's just very toxic gameplay because like I've given this strategy of Heimdall booming to my buddy at release, and he went from being the worst player on our three man squad to the best player. Like he would have 15k more score every game that we played a team game. Like that's how insane it was. Like it just outbooms everyone, and
Hmm.
it's just too much. Like shit like that. Like I can't believe it's still in the game, and like like some of the people, you know, they're in the balance team, like they don't believe me. Like I'm not in
Do
the balance team, by the way, but they say like, you know, it's whatever, but it's because they're only looking at 1v1, like they're not looking at team games, and team games is like, you know, what we need to bring back. So
do you think
yeah,
they are too like scared of making aggressive changes to the game?
I mean, they were not scared of the beta. Like I remember them shuffling like god bonuses around a lot. Like suddenly like Poseidon had like a completely new bonus, or like Loki had like a completely new bonus. Like they were not afraid at all in the beta, and I think they should really change a lot of the bonuses from a lot of gods. Like I still think it's bullshit that Zeus, you know, has, you know, the increased
Sure.
favor rate, whatever, and you know, and like the Poseidon, you know, has the speed buffs and everything.
Yeah, that kind
Uh,
of, it's like it doesn't make much sense
like
now.
it wasn't it was a big issue, right? That made a lot of balance problems in the original game. So I don't get why they didn't change it. Like it's not fun if one Greek god can make more myth units and the other god is just faster. Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Like they should give him like another bonus, you know, something that is fun. But
I mean, the -1 myth unit population is also a meme, with the like population being at 175 now. Early on,
yeah,
it used to be 160 with 3 town centers with fortified
exactly.
TC. So it's like such a big change. Now you just staying on one TC 175 pop. That one pop won't do much for you. You know,
Hmm.
it's kind of a
And by
bad bonus.
and by the way, Odin, Heimdall, Boomin, we're just making only longhouses, right? And then you only make Hamask Berserks and you just run around, take every TC on the map. Like even Mista was doing it in one of his videos. Like you guys can look it up on his channel. Like he was doing it. And like I've been doing it almost every team game rank that I've played. I'm like top 20 or whatever. I got like top 10 at one point. Barely lost any games with it. And
Mm,
it's just the most broken shit ever. Like it's not much you can do about it. It's just very, very silly. It's just not
yeah.
balanced at all. And
Um,
I think it really shows that there was like no team game balance members in the Retold team. And like I warned them about it, that, you know, you gotta have some team game guys in there because, you know, team game is not gonna be balanced.
yeah, it needs to be catered to everyone, not just one specific, like specifically top players and like 1v1s only. That's a fast way of getting a game stale, right? Which is how I feel it is right now. It's like I want some very aggressive changes. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I want them to shake things up. I want them to like remove the divine damage. Why did they even nerf the divine damage on slingers? They should have just flat out removed divine damage from electron bullets and added a different bonus. Like aggressive changes like that, you know? Why is Sarissa so freaking strong to the point of, if you don't have it and you're in a Greek mirror, you're at a significant disadvantage from the get-go, right? Like you don't have
Mm-hmm.
any variety. As Zeus, you used to be able to go both, but now if you don't go Athena, you're kind of like screwing yourself over. And not just that, the Resto recast is probably even more toxic than Ballistics, I would argue. Because being able to recast Resto every 2 minutes when it's so cheap, and basically have immortal units running down your entire base, is the dumbest thing I've seen.
Yep. Yep. And what, why is Scylla or Skyla, or however you want to pronounce it, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, how is that, you know, still this
Oh yeah,
strong,
a
right? Like,
thing.
it still
Yeah.
decides games on water. And
Yeah.
like talking about water, right? They need to bring back the fishing getaway, like how it was in the original, man. Like,
I
you know,
completely agree.
I understand why they did it, but it ruins the game. Like, they need to bring back Mediterranean,
I
and they
agree.
need to make water important again, because water right now is just a joke. Like no one, you know, you just send your water myth unit, you know, you win one side of water hopefully with your water myth unit. Like everyone just kind of ignores it, right? Like it's just nothing really.
Hey,
Like
it's
no one
just
really
fast
fights water
heroic.
anymore.
Yeah, just go fast
Yeah,
heroic and let your myth unit deal with it.
yeah. It's
It's
just there's no gameplay there. It's just nothing. Like they might as well, you know, just remove water at this point, because it's just nothing.
it's
It's just
like
nothing.
I completely. This is what I've been saying the same exact thing, but people seem to not agree with it. I don't know why. They feel like fish eco should be weak, but you're investing a lot of resources into it. So why shouldn't it be strong when you can just fight for it and take it, right?
Mm-hmm. It should be like the gather rate should be less in Mythic because it is actually kind of insane in Mythic, and it should be a lot more in Classic and Heroic. And I
That's the thing.
also
If you have like 18 fishing ships, it's not even close to like 18 fishing ships should be able to get you by. Like it barely gets you by right now. You won't have any excess food income for like trying to go to heroic if you stop unit production for a minute. You still won't get there.
Mhm.
It's kind of insane.
I mean, I can understand, why people dislike, the terrain battles on, Legacy, but I personally found a lot of fun. I thought, it was a very thin balance, between balance and water and land. You had to stop making triremes at the right moment, then take a TC in between making ships,
Yeah.
and turn your ship production back on. Then, a minute later, turn it back off again, and then take another TC. And if your opponent doesn't do that, if he falls behind, then eventually you'll lose the game. But it was, if you go too hard on water, you lose land. If you go too hard on land, you lose water. So it was a very thin balance. It was like it took a lot of skill. And it's fine, that we can make siege ships and hammer ships now, in Classic, that's
Yeah,
fine.
it's
I think
it's
it's
it's I
fun.
think I think it's fun, but and makes it more diverse. But the problem becomes it's not really a ship fight anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's just a myth
Yeah, it's
unit
it's
fight at this
just
point.
like every tournament game I watch, I just see a water myth unit swim to the other side. It hits the dock a couple times. That might make a couple of ships, but that's about it. Like there's no big water fights anymore. And
Yeah.
honestly, I miss siege ships shooting down TCs on Marsh and Water and Hole. Like I think they should bring it
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Oh, dude, that would be one of the best things they could add to the game. Because why is there water if you cannot fully utilize the water to like completely turn a game around?
Uh-huh.
Like,
Especially with all the free water myth units they added for each Sith, right? Like every Sith that gets heroic gets a free water myth unit.
yeah.
Every time you get mythic, you get a free water myth unit, and they're a lot cooler now, right? Like Men of War is really strong, like the
Oh,
divine damage and
Jesus.
everything.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of fun, right? But we never really get to play with it that much. And
Yeah.
you know, talking about food gather rates, right? Like I think they should lower the chicken and the berry gather rate again, to how it was on ESO.
I feel
So
like,
people start hunting all over the map again, because right now you can basically fast mythic. I'm
in
not
your
saying
base.
it's a good strategy, but you can fast mythic off just the food in your base, and
Yeah.
that shouldn't be possible. It's just very cheesy. And on some maps, I also think the gold mines are way, way too far away from the starting TCs, like Ghost Lake. It's like, like these people who have like an eye on the right side of their face and the left side of their face, like completely like far away, like a fish. That's how Ghost Lake feels to me, the gold mines. It's way
Yeah.
too far away.
The my take on the whole like food in your base thing is I think it's fine, but introducing hunting dogs would mean that whoever like let's say both players get hunting dogs, right? But one player doesn't leave his base after the initial hunt and decides to get on berries and chickens while the other person does. That will leave the other person like that will give a huge advantage to the other person because he takes the risks of doing it, right? While the other person
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get the same results, which means there's more potential for, uh, just getting ahead way quicker. And this also promotes early game fights. Because right now, what do you really have to fight for, right? You don't really fight for much.
Just your gold mine, really. And
Yeah.
Hera makes a good point, right? Like they reduce the villager HP, so raiding is more effective, but it gave the opposite result because now they had to increase the gather rate of food in your base, which means you play way more passive, right? Than back on Legacy. So I like there was a reason that villagers were tanky in AOM, and the reason was because we always had to go on the map, all over the map. We had to hunt all over the map and take advantage of the map control. But nowadays, you can make a villager center. You can eat your chicken, you can eat your berries. Like most of the time, it's not even good to take your second hunt outside your base first. Like you make a little bit of army
Yeah.
first, and then you eat your chicken most of the time, and then once you secured map control, that's when you move out and eat the hunt. But like, there's no fights anymore, really. You know,
Mm.
about the second hunt, like in the original.
Mostly just the
Like,
Norse, pretty much.
yeah.
Another, yeah, I remember in Legacy, sometimes I would just ignore my starting hunt and go for the second hunt immediately if the matchup was, I can't win early on.
Hmm.
So there was
It,
more
it
options.
it took a lot more skill in like planning like your hunt spots out. You know, like
Yeah,
I'll eat my forward hunt first, or yeah, my forward hunt first, right? And then I'll split up like half of my forward hunt villagers to another hunt spot, elsewhere on the map, and then once aggression begins, I go back, to my safer hunt in the back.
yeah,
So it's like you sort of like split it. Like nowadays, you can just advance to classic in your base by just the food in your base. On Legacy, you have to actually take a hunt outside your base as well, just to go classic most of
yeah.
the time.
Okay, I'll say one thing. That was extremely tilting doing that.
It,
That
it
was
was
like,
tilted, but it like it separates the great player from like
yeah,
the legendary players.
yeah,
Like it doesn't have to go back to that extreme, but a little bit towards that direction.
like
I
getting a
think
savannah
yeah.
spawn with 2 zebras and 1 deer. Nah, like, and then you're like, what the fuck do I do as a new player, right? What is a new player gonna do? They won't be able to advance to like 6-7 minutes. it
I
like
know. It doesn't
it's
have to go back to that, but you know what I mean, right? Like it's
Yeah,
just
yeah. It just promotes more options. Right now it's pretty like you have the meta is starting to like establish, right? It seems like town centers are the way to go in most of the games, right? And
mhm.
except for Norse, except against Norse, then one TC is more likely to happen against Norse or Norse mirrors or whatever. But other than that, if you're Egyptian, Atlantean, Greek, you kinda just grab the second town center no matter what, and
And
becomes like legacy.
I think like a Retold release was also a little bit more fun than it is right now because people were still playing the game in Classical Age. Like they were fighting a lot more in Classical Age. They had like big
Mm,
battles. Like they were staying in Classic for way longer than they do now. Right now they just skip to Heroic almost immediately.
mm-hmm,
And I think that makes the game a lot more boring. We lost a lot of fun legacy strategies. Like where's the Herser raid in? Sometimes I see someone do it. Like I've seen Mista do it a couple times.
mm-hmm.
And now you got like the Herser strategy that Mista did, where you get the upgrade. And they all generate a lot of favor, right? And you
Yeah,
just spam a lot of myth units. Like
yeah.
it's very fun, but I think it's also very broken. But
Yes, it
we are
is.
missing like we're missing a lot of strategies. Like the Herser raid, we're missing like the Ragnarok, the whole gameplay mechanic around that.
At the
We're
moment, it
missing the
feels
big
like
sea fights.
it feels
Uh-huh.
like you have to be optimal. You have to do one specific thing with that civ in that matchup. You don't have too many options. You can't really like go out of the box or have several strategies to choose from unless your god is completely busted. That's how it feels right now. Like one
Hmm.
TC as Greek, you'll unless you completely outplay them, you will most likely not win unless you're against Norse, right? And you still have to outplay them as, let's say, Poseidon. But let's say you're against Egyptian and you want a second. Oh, speaking of this, you know what my biggest problem is? Market in Classic. That is the
Yeah.
one thing I dislike the most about Retold. I feel like that takes out so much skill, and it also limits what can be done from the opponent.
It just feels bad. Like Thor combined with the market and the Dwarven mines, and then
Yeah.
the Hersers that generate so much
Yeah.
favor. Like it's just too
Yeah.
much.
There was a game I didn't have
And
to leave my base for 25 minutes as Thor. I was in my
yeah, it's
base
just
1 TC 25 minutes and I still won the game because infinite resources.
and also, because the hunt on the map is not much different from the chicken and the berries and the
Yeah.
goats. So it, it just needs to be a more important. Like map control should be important again, and um, it's not right now. That's a big problem, I think.
I think the reason it being not so important is because it usually just ends the game usually is decided where your second gold mine is located. If can they kill you there? No. If yes, they win. If no, they probably end up losing because they try to invest a lot into stopping you there.
Are you popping bubble wrap?
No.
Okay. So someone in the someone in the chat is asking. Anyway, I agree with you, man. Yeah, I don't know. I feel
yeah.
like, I mean, Watch It needs, a slight nerve too. I'm kind of sick, of seeing Watch It. It's very cool, to see them because we
Widget,
never really saw them that
Sarissa,
much. But
Cantarius, and Ballistics is my wish list for nerfs, like aggressive nerfs. I think there should be more like aggressive changes than just simple, removes 0.5 divine damage, keep it in game. I also think divine damage is stupid. It shouldn't exist unless it's for Mythic Age.
yeah, I mean, Son of Osiris is fine, I guess. I don't
Oh
know.
no 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 no! Son of Osiris is a 100 population unit that wins the game by itself. It's so ridiculous. I like
Well,
it,
what I think is more stupid is the mummies, man.
but
That
that's
that
the
shit
thing.
is
Son of Osiris combined with mummies is like a next level, right? But mummies by themselves aren't nearly as oppressive. It's the Son of Osiris that enables them with that divine
hmm
damage. You can't really take down Son of Osiris anymore. You have to have better eco. And how are you gonna have better eco than Ra, right? You have to have better eco and like over time do damage to him. If the other player is good, he will just camp it next to something he can garrison it inside, right? And over time, you have to do chip damage to it until it dies. But by that time, he's probably killed 3 times as many units as you have while dying. So Son of
hmm
Osiris, in my opinion, is the most broken like thing besides Implode. The strongest god power besides Implode.
Yeah, Implode. I don't know. It was always fine in the original. I'm surprised, like it's this good. Like
It's the
still,
yeah, it's the divine damage. It's like the thing is, each destructive god power has their quirk, right? Like Meteor, you can actually react to it and garrison stuff inside and not lose as much. You'll still lose stuff, but you won't lose as much. Earthquake, your counterplay is more buildings and masons. Lightning Storm, you have like 2 business days to run away from it or garrison stuff. But Implode, it will suck you in, it will kill your farms, it will kill your buildings, it will kill your villagers, and it will kill your army, even if you garrison.
That's the problem with these mythic god powers is that, once people realize that you can, you're fighting another army, right? And you can cast meteor on your own army, like it
Yeah.
doesn't damage your own army, and it will just wipe the whole enemy army out. And then on top of that, if you bait the enemy army towards their gold mine villagers, then you hit the double McWhopper, right? Like you hit their villagers, they all die,
Yeah.
and their army dies as well, and it just completely ignores your army. And it's the same thing with the Implode. If you just bait their army to their gold mine, you just auto win the game because it deletes so many villagers. And that's the problem with these god powers. It's just
I feel
like
like
it's like a better locust, basically. Like you should use those god powers like a locust, because if you kill 30 gold villagers, the game is just over. Like there's no coming back from that.
yeah,
I think it's a big problem that you can use a lot of god powers on villagers. Like I don't think it should be possible.
I think no counterplay is the problem here. Remember, I listed all the counterplays to the other destructive god powers, but this one doesn't have any counterplay, which is what makes it stupid. Like the fact that if you push in at around 16 minutes with an implode, like you're already pushing in because you're Atlantean, right? They have to hold for another 5 minutes to win the game, or 5-10 minutes to win the game, right? But if you're pushing in already as Atlantean and then you hit an implode on top of that on either their home town center or their second gold mine, its game is over because they lose around 30 farms, they lose around 20 plus villagers, and they lose at least half their army. The problem becomes they cannot repopulate their army because their farms are gone, right? You fuck them from 2 different eco angles, both their gold
hmm
mine and their farms. That is
You know,
my
you know what the
biggest
funny
issue.
part? You know what the funny part about that is? Like there was a reason a lot of god powers did not work on farms in on the legacy version of the game, right? Because the
Yeah,
developers knew if you kill all of the farms, there's no coming back from
yeah,
that. You know, like you have 30 farms around your TCs, you lose all of them,
yeah.
you know, it's just game over. That I feel like the devs were kind of stubborn in this aspect with Retold. Like they thought they knew better than the original devs, and in some cases they did actually know better, and they improved the game. But in some cases, I think they failed, and they didn't really have like a session where they really thought about things like why did the developers do this? Like why were villagers this tanky in original game? Like why did god powers
They
not affect
didn't.
the farms?
Yeah,
Like there was a reason for a lot of the stuff. So
yeah. I'm
yeah.
hoping they somehow, backtrack to some of those things and re-implement them. Because I don't think implode should affect farms. Sure, they can affect villagers, whatever. Who cares? But farms, when they're laid down, you're basically setting yourself up. But when imagine like Locust is fine, right? Because Locust can be reacted to and it has counterplay. Sure, you'll lose farms, but you won't lose your villagers. You know what I mean? But all of losing all your things at once becomes really problematic to come back from.
Uh-huh. Hey, are you prepared for the Chinese tsunami again?
Oh man.
You bet
Jesus.
it's coming back, right? Like, there's
Oh
just no
man.
way. Like,
You know,
I'm pretty sure they're
at
gonna bring it back in.
I would be disappointed if they didn't because that gave us some really sick content. Like it was
I mean,
so fun.
I
But
I do like the fact, that you can dodge the tsunami, by going inside the building, right? Like that's
yeah,
a fun concept, right? You can dodge the tsunami. The
yeah,
problem was with tsunami on EE that it literally traveled from one corner of the map to the
to
other
the
corner of
other.
the map,
Yeah.
and it would just sweep your whole army away and your villagers and your town center and
And
your
leave
fucking
everything
like your
idle.
dog, everyone.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
everything leave is idle, right? But I'm sure like it should I think Tsunami should stay. Like I think they need to bring that shit back because that was like a highlight of any game with China in it. Everyone wanted to see the tsunami and how much of an impact it would have, right?
Hmm.
Oh yeah,
And
still need to fix walls. That's another thing I don't understand how they cannot have fixed. That is
dude,
why.
am I the only one like when you want to make a building and you're in the menu of making a building, right? Like
Mm,
you see where the building will be placed, right? Like your building is like glowy and red, right? Like you haven't placed it yet, but you're placing it, right? Or a
yeah.
wall, for example. Is that laggy for you as well? Like the animation or
I,
something about it just like
there's
feels laggy.
there's actually a setting for that. Let me show you. I don't. Maybe you know about it. Maybe you know. But here, if you look at my, are you watching my stream?
Yeah, but the paint thing is blocking it.
Yeah, I removed it. Do you see this? This option right here. I think that's why.
No, I have that turned down to what you have as well. I mean like like the gameplay itself is like zero lag, right? But then
Yeah.
when you are making a building, like you're in the menu and like you're hovering with your building, like where you want to place it, like it just feels like laggy. Like it's like
Mm,
I don't know, it doesn't feel as smooth. Maybe it's just me, but like
I haven't really
oh,
felt it. I feel like when placing down farms, I feel like it's instantaneous. It doesn't really have that delay.
well, it's not a delay. It's just like the animation just looks like laggy. Like it feels like the game is lagging for a moment. Like the game is
Oh,
not actually lagging, but like that menu is lagging. And when you place down walls, it's so buggy. Like it doesn't like connect to walls, or
yeah.
it just feels bad.
That's very rage-inducing. I'm not gonna lie. That is one of the worst things. I cannot believe they haven't fixed that.
And what I think an issue is, I've noticed it. I'm not blaming anyone with this, but kind of am. But
Yeah.
um, even on EE, like the balance team, and even the Voobly team, it's like the moment they get into like a balance team, it's like cause they made it, it's the best thing ever. Like you cannot have any criticism on it.
Yeah.
Like they are 100% right. Like you can not say anything bad about it. And even if the whole community says like, "Oh, this is broken," for some reason, the moment someone joins a balance team, they're like, "No, you might say that, but in reality, like actually, if you play this or that way, like you can beat it." Even though the whole community, like everyone I talk to, is like, "Yo, you should really nerf this." Back on EE, like this is just broken. Like cool stuff is really broken. But
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, it takes like years before someone like you have to like beat that person with the Kosevs to show him
Yeah.
that it's actually broken. Like they're
Yeah.
they're so stubborn where like I talk to all my friends, like I play with them every day the first few months of Retold, and like they're all saying like, dude, this sense shit is broken. Like, dude, these Toxicity with Hades with ballistics is like broken as shit, or like at Atlantis is like very broken. And then like the whole community like agrees with it. But the balance team for some reason they don't want to directly address it. They want to like do some other indirect nerf for some reason. Like it's just really weird. Like, it's like they want to be like different. Like they
Trying
don't
to,
want to like
yeah.
admit that they might be wrong.
So they
It
try to
just
nerf it in another way.
yeah, but in like a bad way. Like I don't know why they can't just admit that they made a mistake and just do what the people want. Like like just nerf the speed of Atalanta, make her a little bit less tanky. Like it took like 3 patches before that happened.
Okay, so what are your
And
predictions for chariots? What are they, do you think they will change? Do you think they will touch the chariots, or will they touch ballistics, or will they do something to bone bow?
um I think they need to just rework ballistics. I don't know if they're gonna do that. I think you were right on the money there.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need to do something about ballistics, man.
Yeah.
Like I saw someone say, maybe move it to mythic. And
Nah,
combine.
because the whole thing is you're going fast heroic, but now if you have a bigger reason to go fast mythic, because you get Thoth, you get ballistics, you get Valley of the Kings, and now your power spike is even stronger if the guy you're playing can't punish that, right? But then again, you can get to fast mythic at 10 minutes with all the shit in your base. So moving that to mythic wouldn't really solve it.
Well,
It would only give them more of a reason to go mythic even faster, right?
mhm. I mean, I'm just saying random shit, right? Like just suggestions, but
Yeah.
like for example, in combination with the chicken and berry nerf, for example, right? Like you got to be more on the map. That would change the playstyle of Egypt as well. And then in combination, with moving into mythic, for example. Like I think there's multiple solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is not the best one. It was just the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
That's
mean,
valid.
it's just something needs to be done about ballistics. I think it was just it was worth it. A try. To have it in the game, but I think it doesn't really
Takes
work.
it takes like skill out of the game, skill expression. You can't really micro anymore. You're just dead.
Like throwing X-Men with ballistics is like they just don't miss. And they do hack damage as well.
Oh yeah. The thing is like people say, "Oh, just make cav," right? Yes, you make cav, but every time you try to take an engage, you're losing 3 cav on the way in, 2 to 3 cav on the
Yeah,
way in.
they just snipe him down like
Yeah,
right there.
and then they just back off. And like, sure, you can keep making cav, but every time you even attempt to engage, you're at least losing 3 to 4 cav, depending.
Yeah, yeah. You got to be like a Mista basically, where
Yeah.
you have your main army in the middle, and then you have 2 flanks ready on the backside. Like that's almost the only way to deal with that. Like
Yeah.
it's the Mista, that's
Just
the
be
Mista notebook basically.
just be the mister, you know.
Be the Mista, like, you'll be fine, right?
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Just be a genius farmer.
True. I think we've gone over pretty much most of it.
Yeah. Did you have another topic you want to talk about, or?
I think for now we covered the main things. Do you think there will be a new patch soon, or do you think they will keep it as it is until after the tournament?
My guess is, when the holidays event ends, that's when they have to do a patch basically. So
When will
I
that
think
event end? Did they say anything about it?
where you can see in the client, right? Like when you go back on multiplayer, like where you're looking right now,
Uh,
then you go to
oh,
holidays.
13 days, 11 hours. Okay, so it should be
Yeah, so
I don't like that the patches are so spread. Like initially, it was more often, right? Because I wasn't part of it. I didn't. I started relatively late. But I think they did something like
Uh-huh.
every week or every 2 weeks.
Honestly, yeah, at the beginning they did almost every 2.5 weeks. But
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's the the premium package for Retold, it was a great value, right? Like it was really nice, that they included the Chinese with it, the Arena of the Gods,
Yeah.
which was supposed to be at launch anyway, but and also the Civ after that as well, right? It's all included.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they're losing a lot of money by doing that. Which might hurt the future, updates. They're kind of forced to make these updates now, right?
Yeah.
Because they
Otherwise, they
we
lose
already
the
paid
money.
for it.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, grounds for refunds and shit.
Yeah, I mean they cannot refund after playing a lot of hours, but um,
No, Steam came up with a new policy. If
oh
the
really?
yeah, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it was something along the lines of if the developers promise content while you're purchasing the game, and they do not follow through with that, or if there was like basically a lie, then you are eligible for a refund.
I see, interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think they can, like, I understand, Chinese, being free, because Chinese was so bad on extended edition, right?
Yeah, it was
But
so fun to play. Like it was fun, but it was badly designed.
but yeah, it was just terrible. But like
Yeah.
the second Sif, like the second new Sif, like it should not be included in the premium, man. Like they should have never done that. That was just such a like a bad business decision. Like they should have made, they should have proven first that they can make a new Sif. Like they already they already proved that they can make a new god, right? Like
Yeah, that
Freyr
was
is
Fair's perfect.
really well designed, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
perfect or almost perfect, whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it.
very good, very close
But
to being ideal new god to release. Everything's fresh, but still the same. Fits the theme.
exactly, and like I think the Chinese will be good because Freyr was good. Obviously, Chinese is completely new or half new, right? I'm pretty sure they're
Yeah.
gonna completely remake the old Chinese.
Will there still be
But
the same three major gods, or will they introduce new ones? You think instead replacing
I think
them?
they're slightly different, but I'm not 100% sure. But
Hmm.
like the Chinese, it's fine. Include with the premium,
Yeah.
to make up for the community for all the years of suffering with extended edition. But the second Civ, it should not be included in the premium. Like it's nice for us, but I think they needed the money to you know keep the patches going. So I think it's not a good thing that the Japanese or the Aztecs, whatever it's going to be, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it should be free, but it's going to be pretty much free for us.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That it's bad decision making, like business wise, to add an extra DLC on top of that. If they just make it standalone and do a good job on the first release, then everyone will buy the second release no matter what, right?
And
More likely.
also they're also behind on schedule, right? Like Chinese was, I think at least, was supposed to come out at release or shortly after release, or at least this month, right? But it got delayed because it's
Yeah.
probably not ready yet, which is a good thing. Don't release an unfinished product, but you know at this point everything is delayed. I think the second Civ is delayed, so they're not going to make extra money
From
until they
the
make
behind.
something new after the second Civ. So
Yeah.
that doesn't bode well, for future patches, I
Yeah,
feel like.
that's
So
what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like it's slowly going into like legacy where it's gonna be given up on, the way it's heading.
well, I will say this, right? Like before release, I talked to some buddies of mine, I told them like, don't have too high expectations because the first year from my experience on Age of Empires 2, DE, and AoE 4, it's like, it's going to be terrible. There's going to be a lot of out of syncs. There's going to be a lot of crashes. There's going to be a lot of bugs. The game is going to be unfinished. A lot of features are not going to be in the game.
Hmm.
And, honestly, Retold released pretty well. Like, probably the best out of any Age of Empires game so far, in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So that is good. But, like sometimes I see people like they think it's like the end of Retold. Like the player numbers are going down. It's gonna die from here. We're not gonna any more patches. But with even with AoE 4, like 3 years after release, they made another DLC. It revived the player numbers. They're still making patches. They did like a whole overhaul
Yeah.
of the whole gameplay with the siege, right? And even with AoE 2 DE, they didn't hit their player peak until after 2 years. They hit like 38K or something, I believe,
Ah.
after like 2 years of release. So
Yeah.
their highest player number wasn't even on release. And I think Microsoft has like a good track record where I don't think they're gonna abandon a DE release. Like even AoE 3 DE, is still getting like a new Civ in 2025. So
Really?
I don't
Okay.
think they're just gonna, yeah, they're not gonna abandon these games. I think because they set up a whole new studio. They're gonna keep selling games and new Civs, new DLCs.
Yeah.
Um, and I think they're gonna keep doing it for all the games because it just makes too much money, man. Like let's be real. Like Retold sold really well. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I
So
mean.
they're gonna keep pumping out content. They're probably gonna keep going or keep making god packs, new Civs, everything.
Yeah.
Um, Even if the player numbers are low right now, which is not as low as you guys might think, because the Game Pass numbers don't show in the Steam numbers. And from what I can tell, at least 40% of the player numbers right now is from the Game Pass. So, if there's 3K players online right now, there's actually like 5.5K or 6K players online right now.
Uh
So
huh.
it's not that bad as people think it is. So,
I mostly go based off of Twitch, and like sometimes nowadays lately it's been like what 50 to 100 viewers in the AOM category, whereas there's still thousands on in AOE. And then on top of that, when I'm queued up, I rarely like it's hard to find games, stuff like that.
mhm.
That's what I feel
But I
like.
think
That's the way I feel when I look at it.
I think it's a mix of things, but I mean, if you're like a lower elo player or like a mid tier player, I think you can still find games really easily. But
Hmm.
it's still you guys gotta keep in mind, like it's still a lot better than Voobly ever was, or not
Yeah,
the platform
can't.
itself, but just like
Yeah,
there's more activity, right? Like
can't
there's
complain
more
about that.
activity even than more than ESO. Like there's a way more activity right now than there ever was really.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
to be fair, now that you mention it, I had to wait sometimes an hour in extended edition for a game.
Exactly. Like
So
it's really not that bad. I think our expectations, after that release, like with like 25K players, like our
yeah,
expectations were maybe, too high. Like the game is just not finished yet. Like that's the problem. I
yeah, and we're
think after a
comparing it
year,
to a franchise like AOE is just always gonna be bigger, right? This is more of a niche.
yeah, and like Voobly had like, 20 years before, it got to the state of the balance it is, before it died.
Yeah.
So, Retold, still has a bright future, I think. And I called this before release. The game is going to lose most of its players after the initial months. And after that, it's going to slowly keep growing as they add more content, more sifts, more gods, and they fix the
Hmm.
game. And, there's going to be plenty of, Christmas sales, summer sales, and,
Yeah.
back in the day, when there was like a sale on Steam for EE, right? Like even EE, went up to 4K, 5K players sometimes. And for Retold, that would mean like 6K players, 7K players, 8K players, right? So,
Yeah.
if the game is in a better state, then, the player numbers will grow again. Like people are also, a little burned out, I think, from the first few months of release where, there was so much going on. The game it was pretty much, a brand new game and it was a lot of fun. But I think people played a lot, like maybe too much, and there was too many tournaments. And
Hmm.
I think people right now are kind of burned out, and I
Waiting for the
think
Mortals Pillar DLC.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not all grim, So
Yeah. I mean, when you put it that way, the game still has more to offer and just have to be patient. It does, I believe it gives some people, bit of hope.
for sure.
Hmm.
And we were fine, with like 100-player community on Fugly, so
Yeah, true. We made it work.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And, like the tournaments, like right now are still getting a lot of viewers. Like Boyd is still, getting 400, 500, 600 viewers. while the
Mm.
other guys are also getting 300 viewers, in tournaments.
Yeah.
So if the game is truly good, which I think it has a lot of potential. Like the underneath all the imbalance, it's a fun game. So
Need
I
to
think it
get.
will grow. I think.
Yeah, I think we need to also somehow get the people who quit over getting Meteor to back into this game after the DLC release. Like, there should be an attraction for them to at least come and give the game another try.
Exactly. And yeah, it was even over 1,000. I think I saw like 1.4K. I think, boy. Um, but
Boyd
yeah,
had
I
like
don't, I don't
12K
think.
during his FFA tournament. He was
Yeah,
featured on the home page.
I heard about that, and then it kept crashing or something, right? Like I feel
Yeah,
bad.
until I hosted, and then everything was okay. So I saved it.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it's all that bad, the future for retail. Like, I kind of predicted this where, we will be in a little bit of a slump right now, which is, fine. People are also busy, with the holidays. The
Yeah,
PoE2 just came out.
yeah.
People were playing classic WoW. Um, you know,
I think just giving it time, like you said, will eventually the game will fix itself, or hopefully.
yeah, or, maybe COVID-2 will come out.
Yeah, come
Who
on.
knows?
COVID too soon. TM, go on.
Yeah, Wuhan Labs, second coming,
I think we've gone over pretty much everything I had
Yep.
in mind. This was great.
Yeah. I don't have much else to say. I got
Yeah.
everything off my chest
Yeah.
that I wanted to say.
That's good. I mean, everything was good. I don't see much problems with anything you said. It's all doable. It's all feasible. Not demanding anything impossible, which is just a simply more team games, more just looking out for the game's future.
Yep. And I think DoD is, I don't like the dictatorship way they rule. They do their shit in, but I think they're doing a good job. Growing a
Oh,
community. Getting all
DOD
the
is
mid-tier players
yeah.
in.
DOD is
I think,
doing a great job with
yeah.
they're like very organized, so it's like it makes it easier for newer players to come in and get themselves into the community of a clan and mess around and get more involved in the game.
Yeah, I think it's great what they're doing. Like, I think more people should come together. Do something like that. I think
Yeah,
it's really good for the community.
it really
Um,
is. When are we getting the first
yeah.
team game tourney? We're not gonna be getting a tournament. We might get like mini show matches after the Wrath of the Gods. So, and then team game tourney might come in January.
Yeah,
Something
I'll
small.
most likely host one day team game tournaments. I'll probably start with 2v2s
Yeah,
because it's one less player than 3 versus 3. So just to see how it
easier to
goes.
set up. Yeah, easier to set up.
Yeah, it will be like a one day tournament, and then I plan on hosting a team game tournament like a 2v2, right? Like every 2 weeks, hopefully. With small prices. Expect like $100 maybe or more. And it'll be open to everybody. It'll be a lot of fun maps where you can choose a home map probably. So
Mm-hmm.
some preparation comes into play, and maybe you can take off a couple games of better players as well. So it should be a lot of fun.
It's just a good way of bringing the community together and introducing people to competitive as well.
hmm Exactly, and I also plan on eventually after we got all the 2v2s out of the way, I also want to do like tiny tournaments or like scenario
Yeah,
tournaments or
like
like something like that.
out of the blue stuff, very fun.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, one day events, but
It
yeah.
could even be something like people sign up, the prize pool is $100, you don't even know what's gonna happen, and you just as soon as the game starts, then they realize what happens. Crazy stuff. Like everything is possible, right? Like you could
Uh-huh.
throw them
Yeah,
into a settlers game when they don't even know what to expect, right?
exactly. And yeah, I always wanted to host like a semi-serious like tiny tournament, like a
Yeah,
tiny kings,
it
like a
could
big
be.
ass bracket, and like see who was actually like the best tiny player. Like that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it could be really fun. It's like
Ah,
you have all the action in one screen always, so it's always gonna be fun to watch.
and like, dude, I have suggested this so many fucking times, dude. Like to all the developers, like on the balance teams and shit. Like,
Hmm.
dude, for Retold, like I'm happy, they put Tiny in the game, as is, like it's just
Yeah,
a default map you can choose.
yeah.
But they should have made a ranked mode for Tiny, man, or at least, like a rotating ranked mode for scenarios. Like for 2 months,
Oh,
you have
yeah.
Tiny,
It's like
and the
League,
next 2 months you have Zelda. Yeah,
League Earth rotating and stuff like that, right? But a ranked system for scenarios like Settlers, Zelda, Tiny. That would be super cool.
dude, like imagine, you played a lot of 1v1s today, you played a bunch of team games, you're kind of exhausted, but you want to keep playing. And,
Yeah,
then you queue up for like a tiny ranked, right? And like because those games are so short, you can just keep playing. Like you keep finding players over and over because it's just, simple to play. The game's so short.
yeah,
And there's also some ego involved, right? Like it's just like fun to be the other player, and like more mid-tier, lower tier players can join in as well, right? Because it doesn't take too much skill. So
exactly.
it's just a fun little game mode. And I think they should have done that on release, man. Like
I completely
I don't know why
agree.
they didn't listen to me.
Some things they should have done, but we still have time. Hopefully they will revisit the ideas. Maybe one of them is listening to the podcast and is taking notes on what could be better.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mm, can only hope.
like just imagine, like people getting sweaty over tiny ranked, like 1v1 tiny, no team games, but just 1v1 tiny.
uh, it's gonna be fun.
It's
Like
just
it's funny as
And
hell.
then like, if by the way, like this ranked game mode, it should force you to go random god, so you cannot pick your god. Like you
Oh
always
yeah,
go random god, of
that's
course.
even better.
Yeah.
Why not go back to EE? Come on.
And that's the one thing that Retold did right. There's no lag,
Yeah, bro. No lag. Holy. It's so nice. So
It's
nice.
like if Retold lagged, there would be maybe like 50 players online right now. Like everyone would be fed up. Like not again, like not the
Yeah,
EE situation again.
true. I think if this game lagged, I would not have bothered with it either, to be honest. It's like, I love the
Yeah,
game and all, but lag, I endured it for long enough on Extended Edition.
yeah. I mean, I would have quit in the beta like right away.
Yeah,
I had enough,
but it's very impressive that they fixed that at the very least.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the idle villagers, that's is a separate issue. But
Yeah. All right.
anyway, I think that's enough, right?
Yeah, I think we wrap it up here. It's been a really good podcast session. Thank you for coming, Flame. Very good
No
points.
problem. All right.
Yeah. Thank you again, bro. Appreciate having you on. Hope to see you again sometime soon. Maybe when the new
Yeah,
patch hits, we could go over it
yeah, we
together.
should we should do it again, but with our Keen boys, like Packy
Yeah.
and all the other guys,
Yeah. Peggy
But
couldn't make it today, unfortunately, but maybe next time. Yeah.
yeah, for the memes and banter.
Yeah. True. True. Would be
But yeah.
very fun. All right, bro. I'll catch you later. Yeah.
All right. All right. See you, man.